Hey guys, this is not an easy video to make by any means. Right now I'm smoking a cigar. And it's easy to pretend nowadays with videos and audio and social media and the online platform to just create an image to kind of make yourself seem like everything's perfect in your life or everything's going so well, like you don't have any issues. It's it's almost so easy to control the perspective and narrative of how people see you and what you want to portray yourself to be on the internet. And sometimes even in real life, you don't want people to see your flaws. You don't want people to see your faults. I don't condone smoking. Cigarettes, cigars, vapes, any form of nicotine, dips, chews, Zyn pouches, all of it. I don't condone using any of those forms of nicotine. And I know very well that I shouldn't be using any of those things either. But as you see right now, I'm doing that very thing. I want to be real. I want to be transparent. I want to be honest with you and show you my struggle. I don't know how many years nicotine has kind of haunted my life, but it started when I was a young teenager. And I think I actually started getting onto tobacco and nicotine um, when I was 15 years old, around that age. My parents got divorced when I was still young, and my dad ended up remarrying. And the person that he remarried ended up returning to a drug habit. And this woman started to smoke crack, you know. So I found myself, along with my older brother, living in a household where drug use started to occur. And I remember distinctly, um, I think even my dad was starting to use crack too at this time, but they would, when the crack use was taking place, they would use cigarette ashes for the crack pipe. um, I guess you put the crack rock on some cigarette ashes in the pipe, and that's how you would kind of smoke it or whatever. So they would collect cigarette ashes, and they started to like ask my brother and I to collect some cigarette ashes for them. So they would give us cigarettes, and we weren't cigarette smokers, obviously, but like that was the first time I remember being exposed to smoking cigarettes, when I would go out on the porch and smoke cigarettes to collect ashes. And I remember how horrible it was to start like smoking these things, and the kind of feeling that would come from it. And I obviously now know, looking back, that that was like such a form of abuse. I don't really know why things took place like that. Obviously there could have been some other way to get these cigarette ashes, but for some reason my brother and I were kind of looked at to collect some of these cigarette ashes. Anyway, that's the tragic backstory of how I first started to smoke and how I started to get exposed to tobacco. um, I remember as well, different times during high school, I'd be smoking cigarettes. I'd go out after school or during lunch break in the parking lot of the school, and there'd be a group of kids who would be smoking cigarettes. And I remember what that was like, and I remember the awful feeling of smoking cigarettes at such a young age, you know? And to tell you the truth, it was like even at like 16, 17 years old, working my first job at Stop and Shop, I'd have a pack of cigarettes on me, you know? I'd find a way to get a pack of it was one of the worst kind of things that I ever got myself involved in, you know? And even though during the years, from my teenage years up, there were times where I got away from smoking, whether it was smoking tobacco or using some form of nicotine, it always seemed to come back to me. It always seemed like it was coming for me. It wanted me to go back. It wanted me to relapse. It wanted me to return. There was something that I had exposed myself to that wanted me to return back to that behavior. And now, even in the present day, I find myself wrestling with the temptation and the vulnerability to use nicotine products. So even though I would be better off not using nicotine and smoking cigars and whatnot, I still find myself occasionally doing it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not something that I do on a regular basis, but just the point of even doing it once in a while or sometimes really makes me concerned about my lifestyle choices or you know what I'm doing, because I know that it harms the body. I know that it hurts you to be doing these things. And especially now that I'm like really trying to establish a consistent way of healthy living, I've been going to the gym multiple days a week, working out and stuff. It's really alarming to me that I need to give this up completely. I want to be completely free from these things. Because to tell you the truth, these kind of things like the cigars and stuff, it's not consistent to a healthy way of living, the healthy lifestyle that I want to establish. If I'm going to be working out, you know, getting on the treadmill, doing cardio, doing the bicycling, doing the jogging, I don't want to feel like I'm running out of breath. I don't want to feel like I can barely breathe because I've been smoking some tobacco and stuff, like my lungs are hurting. I don't want to live that way. I know that I can have full freedom in Jesus Christ, but just to have to come to realization that this stuff is trying to weigh me down, that this stuff is trying to be a temptation in my life, that I'm vulnerable, that I'm still vulnerable to to falling into a temptation to have a cigar or 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 go back to a nicotine vape or something. Like, it concerns me. I I mean, I don't know what the magic key is other than fully surrendering to Christ and walking away from it. I know that I have the power through the Holy Spirit, but for some reason this vice or whatever keeps trying to haunt me. It keeps trying to come up in my path and pull me away. And it's so frustrating. It's like, God, I know that I'd be better off without it, but I keep find myself going back to it sometimes. And people go through programs. There's even things like nicotine anonymous meetings, and there's certain like um, courses and tactics, that strategies that people use to become free from it. But sometimes it's like it feels like it doesn't work properly, or it feels like you have to jump through hoops to try to become like totally free. And I understand, like, it's going to take some sacrifice. Like, I'm going to have to put in some kind of work and effort to walk in freedom. But in terms of like having this easy magical cure, like you snap your fingers and now you're no longer ever susceptible to using nicotine again, I don't think that that's out there. I don't think that kind of thing exists, like that silver bullet type of thing. So whatever it's going to take for me to stay away completely, I'm going to have to take those action steps. So, that's what I'm going to have to do, or that's what I'm going to have to look into doing. But ultimately, I do believe that I can have power through Jesus Christ to walk in freedom from this. But I made this video because I'm showing you the point is that there is something that is trying to come up in my life that wants to keep me in that place of using nicotine. And it's scary to see, guys. Like, usually I wouldn't make a video like this. Like, who wants to expose their dark side? Like, who wants to expose their vulnerability? Who wants to show you their flaws and faults? It's not an easy thing to do, but I'm willing to expose myself if it's going to help someone else. If it's going to encourage someone to see that they're not alone in this battle, then I'm willing to do that. I don't think that I'm gonna always have to deal with um this this fight of like smoking cigars or battling with nicotine. I do believe I'm gonna get to that point of being completely free and making some great progress. But right now in my life, like this is still seems to be like some kind of trouble, you know? And I'm putting this out there because I want to show you that I am a real flawed human being who has issues, who has problems. Like my life isn't so smooth, you know? Like I do follow Christ. I am a born again Christian, but my life is not perfect. I don't do everything right. I don't do everything correct, you know? So this is just me being raw. This is just me being transparent. And I want to say that every time I end up using nicotine, I lose. It seems like I lose because it's hurting my body, it's affecting my mind, it's probably affecting my spiritual life, and it's causing me to be at a less than supreme level in these areas. It's not allowing me to operate in my full potential. So in a way, this nicotine, these cigars, these tobaccos, these other forms are holding me back. It's causing me to lose. Because like I said, when I go to the gym, it might feel like I can't breathe as efficiently, or it may feel like my lungs are hurting, or it feels like I'm having shortness of breath, or I'm running out of breath quicker. So these things are having a negative impact on me, and I need to be aware and come to terms with that. But the more that I'm aware, the more that I realize that this stuff, these cigars, the nicotine, and any other vice is holding me back, the more I'm going to want to fight harder to walk away from it, to not go there, to not choose that. So that's what I'm believing for. I need to stay close to Jesus. I need to stay rooted in prayer. I need to call out to God when I'm dealing with these temptations. And I need to fight for my life because my soul, my life really depends on that. This could put me in the grave earlier than I need to if I'm not careful here. So I just wanted to make this honest video. I wanted to come out into the light. For anyone who's dealing with these kind of things themselves, I want to say to you that you're not alone. There's someone out there that may look at me like some kind of role model and some kind of good influence and some kind of like leader to look up to. But I want you to know that my life's not perfect. I have flaws. I mess up sometimes. And if you're going through the same kind of thing, just remember that you're not alone. We're in this together. And we're gonna win in the end. We're gonna have that victory in the end. Jesus Christ is gonna finish the work that he started in us. He's gonna finish that sanctification process. So I know that I can have some hope to look forward to. I know that it's not over yet. I know that when it comes down to it, I'm going to have the victory. I'm going to beat this thing. And you are too. In the name of Jesus, God bless you and don't give up.